Looking for farm fresh beef for your family? Blacktop Cowboy Cattle Company has you covered. Choose from a whole, half, or quarter beef, or purchase individual packaged cuts. Our cattle are locally raised, and your beef is processed at a trusted local facility for quality you can taste. Best of all, your order is picked up and hand-delivered locally right to your door by Eddie Whitehurst. Call Blacktop Cowboy Cattle Company today and put farm-raised beef on your family's table.
Hungry? We've got you covered. Welcome to Bentley's Restaurant, Greer's Ferry's largest restaurant. Join us for breakfast and lunch every Tuesday and Wednesday, then come back Thursday through Saturday for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. From homemade omelets and our Saturday breakfast buffet to fresh salads, daily lunch specials, and hand-cut ribeyes cut as big as you want them, there's something for everyone. Friday and Saturday nights are legendary with our seafood buffet featuring jumbo peel and eat shrimp, catfish, crawfish, and all your favorites. Plus, don't miss our delicious prime rib on Saturday nights and our crab leg dinner every Friday and Saturday. Whether you're joining us for breakfast, lunch, or dinner, you'll always find great food, generous portions, and friendly service. Bentley's Restaurant in Greer's Ferry. Come hungry, bring your friends, and make every meal one to remember.
Are you a sports card collector? Then make your next stop Stan's Sports Cards in Greenbrier. Whether you're chasing vintage legends or today's hottest rookies, Stan's Sports Cards has something for every sports fan. Browse an incredible selection of sports cards, jerseys, memorabilia, and collectibles from your favorite teams and players. Looking to sell? Stan's Sports Cards is actively buying vintage and modern sports cards. Turn those cards sitting in a box into cash today. Visit Stan's Sports Cards at 26 South Broadview, Highway 65, in Greenbrier, open Tuesdays through Fridays from 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. and Saturdays from 9 a.m. to 3 p.m.
Discover Little Red at Indian Hills, where good food, great views, and Arkansas hospitality come together in Fairfield Bay. Enjoy lunch or dinner with comfortable indoor seating, a relaxing outdoor patio, and barbecue available Thursday through Saturday. From golfers fresh off the course to locals and visitors alike, Little Red is the place to gather, eat well, and unwind. Little Red at Indian Hills. Good food, great views, and a Fairfield Bay favorite.
Ready for your next beach getaway? Discover the perfect vacation with Willock Condo Rentals. Enjoy beautiful beachfront condos in Navarre Beach and Panama City Beach, Florida. When you book directly with the owner, you'll pay no service fees, saving more money for fun in the sun. For over 15 years, Willock Condo Rentals has helped families create unforgettable beach memories with comfortable accommodations and breathtaking Gulf views. Start planning your next vacation today. Contact Willock Condo Rentals and experience the beach the way it was meant to be.
It's time for Lake Area Takes. Join longtime Lake Area sports broadcasters John Verser and Austin Gray as they dive into the biggest stories, hottest debates, and boldest opinions in sports. John and Austin bring their experience, insight, and plenty of takes. Lake Area Takes is proudly sponsored by Blacktop Cowboy Cattle Company, Bentley's Restaurant, Willock Condo Rentals, Little Red Restaurant, and Stan's Sports Cards. Lake Area Takes with John Verser and Austin Gray, where local voices deliver big-time sports talk.
Good afternoon, good evening, and welcome to Lake Area Takes, episode number 7. And we are so excited you're with us with John Verser to my right and Austin Gray here with you. And we've made it through the month of July. Happy August. And high school sports season is officially here. It
is underway. Folks are starting to practice this week, and we've got some golf starting next week. So it was a quick start to the fall season.
It would be here before very much longer, and so we're getting ready to get some stuff going. We'll talk about that later in the show, kind of what we got coming up for this season pretty quickly. But got a pretty cool guest here today. Not that we've not had a good guest so far. We've had a bunch of great guests, and this one is no different. This is a man, we talked last week. You were telling me, very good way to describe this guy. He's a man who wears many hats, very many hats. So we are very excited this week to have Rory Bradley on the show with us. And Rory, thanks for being here. We appreciate you coming on.
Hey guys, appreciate the opportunity. Love what you guys are doing.
Hey man, like we said, you're a pretty busy guy. Got a lot of stuff going on, and kind of see you all over the place doing a bunch of things. I think most people know you for seeing you out on the golf course. And you've been up at Fairfield Bay now for a while, so just kind of update everybody what you're doing now and kind of what your position is up there in Fairfield Bay.
Yeah, golf has been a big part of my life. I've been in the golf business since 1993, and still involved in day-to-day operations as far as everything here at Indian Hills. In December of, I believe it was 2025, got presented with the opportunity to take over as general manager of Fairfield Bay Resort and Fairfield Bay Community Club, and it's been an honor.
I know a lot of people know you from the golf world. Been in it a long time, but how do you get into something? You know, everybody plays golf and enjoys it, but I know it's a ton of work on the other end to keep things going. So how did you first get involved with working in golf?
Oh man, you're taking me back a long time. So, I started working. I always loved the idea that I wanted to learn how to play golf. Nobody in my family really played, but I wanted to get involved at a younger age, and couldn't really afford to play golf when I was a teenager. So I thought, man, the best way for me to get involved is to start working at the golf course. So in 1987, I believe, in 1988, I went to work for Dickie Tynes and Tim Jenkins at Mountain Ranch Golf Course, and I just on the maintenance staff and just, mowed greens, weed eated, anything that they needed to do on the course, and washed carts and put up carts and worked in the pro shop and anything I could do to get free golf, basically. And that's how it all got started. I worked in the golf industry all through high school and college and summers, and just decided at one point in time that's the route I wanted to take for a career, and it's been very rewarding.
And you've got, obviously, because of how long you've been in it and being the PGA pro at all the local courses around here, at some point you've played a lot of places, and I would say from one golfer to another, but I don't think my scores classify me enough to be considered a golfer, more so than just a guy who plays. Biggest curiosity.
Now, don't cut yourself short there, Austin. I've seen you play. You're a pretty good player.
I appreciate that. Just so from a guy who golfs, out of curiosity, I ask everybody this who I know has played a lot, but what's the favorite course you've ever played?
Oh man, gosh, played thousands. I've played all over the Southeast and country and all over the state, and there's no prettier golf courses than what we have here in the state of Arkansas. I've played Alotian in Little Rock, which is one of the premier private clubs in the South, actually in the country. Beautiful golf course. But if it came down to it and I had one round of golf to play, it would probably won't be one of the local courses here with just a handful of my buddies. There's so many good golf courses that pop in my mind right now, and just in Arkansas, Chenal, Pleasant Valley, Mountain Ranch, Tannenbaum, Indian Hills. There are just so many. But what we have here around the Greers Ferry Lake area, Red Apple, Eagle Mountain in Batesville. Central Arkansas provides some of the best golf that you can play in the state. So
you can play almost every day in Cleveland and Van Buren counties and not leave either county.
Absolutely. Some great golf courses. You know, you can play courses that are extremely private, that are very expensive to play, and they're all great. But there's just something about playing golf courses that you grew up on and you know well, and you know the people, and it just feels like home when you get to play around your home golf courses. So.
What are some of the thing I've always been curious about? Like if you're going to play somewhere, maybe you never played. What makes a golf course a good place to play? What are some aspects that you look for?
Man, I look for if their greens are good. Here's I've always said this, being involved in golf businesses, you can have the best tees and fairways around, and if your greens are struggling, people won't play. But you can have some of the worst tees and some of the worst fairways, but if you have good greens, everybody will come play you. So I look for a good golf course that has great greens, and you can hit off anything, but to have that putting surface is just that's kind of what I look for. If the greens are good, I don't care where it is or how much it costs to play. I'll try to play it. Greens are probably the main thing that I look at.
I second that for sure, 100%. So you've got two boys that grew up here in the Lake area as well, and you yourself. I mean, we stuck that Shirley Blue Devil logo next to you last week because you are you're a Lake area alum as well, and still around here. But you've got two boys that went to school in the Lake area as well, up in Clinton, and they're still around, and they're doing some pretty cool stuff too right now. So talk about your boys and kind of for those who don't know, kind of what they're up to now, where they're at.
Yeah, man, I'm telling you, I'm so proud of those two guys. They both graduates from Clinton. Cannon graduated in 2016, and Cragen graduated in 2020. Cannon played 4 years of baseball at CBC, graduated from CBC in Conway. Cannon was a baseball player. Cragen was the basketball player. Cragen actually played a year at UCA, but wound up getting his degree online. Cannon is now coaching football, assistant football and assistant baseball at Southside Beach Ranch under Coach Todd Langrell and Coach Hulse. Really likes it down there. Cragen is now, he's kind of, since I've taken over the new position as general manager here, Cragen is kind of taking over day-to-day operations and wanted to step in and learn more about the golf industry, and against Dad's recommendation, decided he just wanted to, follow in Dad's footsteps in the golf industry. So, dads don't know anything. You guys know that. If you give any type of advice, they're going to go in just the opposite direction. So, my wife is an educator. She's been in education all her life. My father-in-law was a long-time coach and administrator and teacher, and so Cannon kind of followed the education route. Cragen decided he wanted to go the golf course route. So, but they're both doing a great job and really doing well. Proud of both of them.
One of the other areas, one of your other many hats that people in this area will know you from is officiating. What got you into officiating back when you started doing that?
Man, I just, I played basketball and baseball all through high school and college, and I just wanted to stay involved in the game of basketball. It's always been my favorite. I officiated a little in college. Perfect job for a college student. Go to school during the day, and you officiate basketball, at night. I got started, gosh, I guess I've been doing it close to 25 or 30 years now. and but just want to stay involved in the game, with coaches, with players, like student athletes, and just love the game, I guess, is the reason I stayed involved and got involved in it.
The time that you've been officiating, I mean, we know just from watching it, having played it, broadcasting it, the game has changed so much. I mean, it don't matter how many years you want to say, anywhere from 1 year to 20 years, the game is always changing. Right now in 2026, what's the most, difficult thing about officiating high school basketball right now in the middle of the 2020s?
Yeah, the rules change every year. And that's the most challenging thing is the fans don't realize. You guys understand it, and you guys see it and know the ins and outs of why things change. And AAA changes their rules and whatnot. NFHS rules change every year also. But the game hasn't really changed that much over the years. Just a few things that stick out in my mind that I wasn't a big fan of the shot clock when it came in, and still to this day, the shot clock doesn't come into play a whole lot in a game until the end of the quarter or the end of the game when they're trying to strategize for a last shot or something. But I thought, what the coaches that like to stall the ball and whatnot, that's kind of out the window now, and you're forced to take shots and, looking for 2-for-1s and things like that. And, but, the game really hadn't changed other than a few small rule changes every year. And that's probably the greatest challenge there is dealing with, fans that don't realize a small rule change has taken place, and of course they're going to voice their opinions from 1988 to not. They still yell over the back and yes, that's a foul, but it's traveling. Not much has really changed. It's just managing the game basically. And the fan aspect of it is probably the most challenging part of it. And you get so engrossed in calling a basketball game, and you don't. And I honestly 100% believe this and say it from the bottom of my heart. Very seldom do I hear fans. You get so engrossed in trying to do a good job in what you're doing that you're so focused on what's happening on the floor that you kind of get in the tunnel and block everything out, and the game slows down. And it's real interesting. I don't know if you guys ever officiated a game or not, or have the desire to, but I've always said that we're AAA's hired, we're shorthanded on officials, and those jerseys and whistles don't cost that much.
I know from our side, there's sometimes something happens on the floor, and it might be a new rule, and there's times we don't know either. And we're calling the game. It's our job to try to constitute to people watching what has happened. And we've had multiple refs in the past that will come up to us, or either they watched the game back and they heard us on air talk about, hey, don't know what happened there. But they'll tell us, they're like, well, just, so the fans know next time you guys can tell them, this is the rule. And I, pretty sure I speak for John too. That's appreciated on our point when, because we don't know either. We're like those fans who are maybe confused on why something was or wasn't called or what the rule is. And so it's always really helpful getting those explanations.
Yeah, we do our best to be approachable as officials. A lot of fans like to pit coaches against officials, but I'm going to tell you, some of my best friends are coaches, and and we get a chuckle about what's going on the floor most of the time. Several instances where, I'm not going to mention any names, where certain coaches come up and say, "Hey, Rory, I'm not mad, but I need to make it look like I'm yelling at you." So when we start talking about golf or something, on the side. But, anytime, it's happened several times, and with the table will call you over, or it's happened a couple times, I believe, with Lake Area crew, where they've asked me questions on the floor, and I just say, this happened. This is why it went this direction. This is what we're discussing. Anytime you guys, I can assure you, anytime you guys have a question and you're calling the game, during the next dead ball, if you have a question, just call us over. We'll be glad to explain anything to you anytime. Now, do we get everything right 100% of the time? Absolutely not. I tell coaches in the pregame, look, we're going to miss a few, and but at the same time, you're probably going to make a few bad decisions during this game that you could have back as well. So nobody's perfect, and I think that's the great thing about it, and what pulls coaches and officials together. But yeah, anytime you guys have any questions or anything like that during the game, I don't care who the official is, they should come over and explain to you, give you an explanation of kind of what happened.
What makes somebody a good official, and if someone is kind of interested, what things would you tell them to get that push to get involved?
Man, just be approachable, I don't know if you can see my sign back here, but my sign says, "Don't be a turd." Be approachable. People like to have conversations, and just don't try to be the know-it-all official. Coaches have the toughest job. Everybody thinks that officiating is the tough job out there. It's not. These coaches coach for their livelihoods, and the things that they have to deal with is nothing to compare to what an official has to go through. We get to call the game and have a good time, and have that camaraderie with the coaches and the players, and at the end of the night, we get in our car and we drive home, and we talk about situations that happen during the game. But these coaches, this is their livelihood, and we understand that as officials, and we want to be approachable to them and answer any questions that they have. And that's it. Just if I can tell with a young person, anything that's wanting to get involved in it is, number one, if you're not approachable and you can't hold a conversation with anybody in a respectful manner, you probably need to turn around and walk back out the door, because that's not going to end well for you.
To going back to talking about Cannon for a minute, you've gotten to ref with him. I mean, a lot, you talked about him coaching at Southside, and he did coach at Shirley too, but I think a lot of people would also recognize him from seeing him officiate games. So you can be honest here. It's a safe space. Is it fun reffing with your son, or is it way more stressful?
Oh no, we have a great time. He coached girls basketball there at Shirley for a couple of years and really enjoyed it. But I really enjoy calling with him when I get the opportunity. I don't have that opportunity as much as I'd like. Cannon's one of those rare coaches that got the opportunity to officiate and then go into coaching, and then now he's back into officiating. Those guys that have that opportunity of doing both, if you're going to go into coaching, teaching, I'd highly recommend you officiate for a couple of years. That way you can understand both sides of it. And I think that's what makes Cannon, now I'm going to brag on him a little bit, I think that's what makes Cannon such a good official, is he's got to work both sides of it. He knows what it's like to make those decisions as a coach and as an official. And I think he'll admit to you that before he started coaching, he was officiating, and after he started coaching, I think he'll even admit to you that, hey, I can see both sides of the ball now, which made him a better coach and a better official by being able to see both sides of it. So, but yeah, I enjoy calling with him. Like I said, does a great job, and will always, cherish that opportunity to officiate with him when I can. A short story: a couple of years ago when he was coaching at Shirley, Coach Luna, they were playing viola at Shirley, and that official didn't show up, and I just happened to be off that night, which is a rare occasion from October through March. So Cannon calls me and goes, "Hey, Dad," he said, "we didn't have an official show up, and we need an official over here, and I know you're off tonight." He said, "Would you be interested in coming?" I was like, "Man, not unless Coach Luna or Coach, Jason Hughes was the coach at that time also." I said, "Not unless they're okay with it." And well, Luna gets on the phone and says, "Rory, get over here. We need an official. We don't care who it is." So I actually got to go officiate a game where he was coaching. And of course, I stayed away from the coaching side of the floor for obvious reasons. It was just one game. It was a girls' game. But no, that's something that I'll always remember is got to officiate a game where he was coaching. So that probably wasn't the best decision that I've ever made in my entire life. Of course, I've had a few of those questionable situations to pop up, but we took a picture before the game and after the game, and he didn't yell at me, and I didn't issue any technical fouls, and then of course Coach Luna and Coach Hughes had a good time with it as well. So it was probably one of the best nights I've had on the floor in a long time.
That's such a unique opportunity. I think it's just something that sometimes happens when you're in a small town in an area where everybody kind of knows it, appreciates everybody.
Yeah, we try to stay away from hometown gymnasiums and things like that. But the need for officials is so. I mean, the pool is shallow. I think if you'll notice when you walk into a gymnasium, they're either going to be, my age, my generation, or a little older, or they're going to be 25, 26 years old. There's really not a whole lot in between. So I would encourage. I mean, it is a great opportunity to stay involved in the game, make a little extra money in the wintertime. Try to stay in a little better shape. The average night you're going to run 3.5 to 5 miles a night up and down the floor at a 3-game night, and just the relationships that you develop with coaches and fellow officials, and it's special. It's real special.
Other than the game with your son, is there any game or a couple of games that kind of stick out over the years that you've been officiating for any specific reason? Of course, there's many things that that I would do a little differently. Of course. Things happen during games. You make calls, and then sometimes you question your own calls. We are human, but there are several games that that pop in your mind that you wish you had done things a little different, or paid a little more extra attention. I was talking just a couple days ago with a good official buddy of mine, Todd Garrett.
the reason this pops in my mind is, I was doing regional game at Clinton. It's been 2 or 3 years ago, and had a bang bang play there, kind of at the end of the game, where I was at lead, and had a block charge call there at the basket where we all got rolled up, including me, went to the ground, and lost kind of track of the basketball, and that happens. So and it's unfortunate things like this happen, but it happened so fast that we lost sight of the basketball. Basketball went in the hole. The officials didn't see it go in the hole. Of course, I'm on the ground wrapped up with 2 kids on the ground, and so we went to I went to the table to report the foul, and the opposing coach was like, "Rory, that ball went in the hole," and I said, "Okay, hang on, coach." I said, "Let me check with my partners." Went back, and just one of those rare occasions that, and it happens, guys, believe it or not, it happens. You lose sight of things when things kind of get active there a little bit, and so they didn't see it go in, and went to the table, asked the shot clock keeper, the timekeeper, PA guy, asked everybody at the table, "Hey, did that ball go in?" And they're like, "No, it didn't go in." Well, me, like I always do at the end of the night, I go back and go on Lake Area Sports or whoever's broadcasting the game, and this is a great deal about Lake Area Sports is we use those as training tools as well as officials to go back and look at situations that occur on a certain night and, hey, what could we have done better? But I went back and watched it, and sure enough, ball goes through the hole, and we missed it. Luckily, it didn't have an effect on the whole game, but in a regional tournament, you basically have been elected as an official to be out there, and it bothers you when you miss something like that.
Well, I want to ask you, kind of going back to family a little bit one more time before we let you go. We talked about your 2 boys already, but you've got grandkids now. How many grandkids do you have now?
We have 4 total. We went from 0 to 4 in about 18 months.
Wow. Well, I wanted to mention my wife got to work with Cannon and your daughter-in-law both, and so she's gotten to follow the story of Manny, and we actually have we've got 2 hats in our closet right now that say Manny Strong on it. So those who are on Facebook and who follow Cannon or follow Maggie or you or anybody else, and a lot of people have shared his story, but maybe for those who don't know, talk a little bit about Manny and kind of the journey he's been on and how he's doing now.
Sure. I'll try to get through this without getting choked up. But Manny he's my youngest grandson. Got diagnosed with congenital glaucoma at like 6-8 years old, and of course there's no cure for it. They noticed a situation with one of his eyes and went into Children's, and luckily they caught it real early, and he's doing great. He had a procedure 3, 4, 5 months ago where they went in and actually did surgery to relieve some of that pressure on that eye. And the pressure just keeps dropping, which is great. He's getting great reports every time he goes back. At surgery time, it was about 40 on the pressure side, and now it hangs down around single digits, or 9, 10, 11, which is normal, and better than normal. So his vision right now is pretty much the same in both eyes. There is, of course, that possibility and worry of what might take place down the road, which we've all put in God's hands. And we know that as much as we love the little fellow, that God loves him more, and he's going to take care of him regardless of what happens. But he's doing great. They think they might have it at a point to where it kind of keep it from progressing. But it's just something that we're going to have to pray about, and he's going to have to watch the rest of his life, but he's doing great. Thank you for bringing that up, and just ask that everybody just keep them, especially that little guy, in your prayers. But he's don't let it fool you. He's a ball of fire too. So you don't tell him that, you can't tell him that something's, not quite normal, but he's perfect. All four of my grandkids, I have Cragen has a little girl, Callie Grace, and Cannon has Mac and Manny, and then Court, which is Court Weaver's a fine young man that we helped take in in the high school, and he had one as well. So yeah, we went. This grandparenting deal, I'm gonna tell you, if you don't have any grandkids, I highly recommend it. It's the best job I've ever had in my entire life.
Yeah, I always thought I was my parents, especially my mom. I always thought I was my mom's pride and joy until we had our son, and then I realized I was a stepping stone for her to become a grandparent. That was all I was.
Yeah, I tell the boys all the time. I was like, man, you guys better be lucky these grandkids didn't come along first, because y'all would never be here.
Well, Roy, we really appreciate you taking the time to be here. It's been a great conversation, and as we said, you are a man that wears a lot of hats, but you do it very well, and so we're very happy you took the time to be with us. Before we let you out of here, we do this every week. We give away a gift certificate to Little Red up there in Fairfield Bay, right there by Indian Hills. And what we do is we let the viewers get in the comments and have a chance to win. But what they have to do is leave a kind of a code word or a secret word of the week, whatever you want to call it, from this interview. But we let the individual that we are interviewing choose what the word of the week is. So the last thing we're going to ask of you is tell us whatever you would like. What's the word of the week going to be this week for our Little Red giveaway?
Man, we talk so much about it. How about technical?
I like it. Let's do it. All right. See, that's a good one. All right, you heard it there. That's the word of the week for a chance to win $25 to Little Red. Rory, again, thanks so much for being here, and we really appreciate you coming on.
Guys, y'all do a great job, and appreciate what you guys are doing, and to bring awareness and talk about, there's nothing that I love more than high school sports, just as you guys, and I respect you and appreciate all you guys do as well.
Thanks a lot, Rory.
Thank you.
I'll tell you, there's a lot of busy people in this world, especially in this area, for things that they do, but that guy does a lot. But he does it well. I mean, he really does.
Yeah, it takes a lot to run a golf course. I have no idea what that takes, but I've seen work some tournaments in the past, and you're out there early and you're out there late, and you've got to keep everybody happy, keep the trains running. So it's just a ton of work.
Yeah, he would. And he, I mean, makes perfect sense to me, because believe me, the best kind of golf is free golf. So whatever you can do to get that free golf's not a cheap sport. I've had buddies get into it as a hobby, and they're like, "This is not a cheap hobby." I'm like, "No, if you really get into it, it's going to cost you. Sometimes it can feel like it can cost you an arm and a leg." But we want to thank Roy Bradley, and again, the word of the week for our $25 Little Red gift card is technical. So get in the comments, leave the word technical, tag Little Red Restaurant for a chance to win. And we do have a winner from last week, right? You got that name, or?
We do. It was, and I'm going to butcher the last name, so I'll let you say it. It's Hannah
Solstice.
Yes.
Hannah Solstice.
So Hannah is the winner, and someone will be in contact with you shortly to let you know how to claim your gift prize. But thank you for participating, all those who left the word of the week, and do it again this week and have a chance to win.
Yep, Hannah left it last week when we had Jacob Roark on, and so now if you want to win next week, leave the word technical in the comments. Your name will be entered into our drawing. Tune in next week to find out if you won. So we're going to pause for a minute and hear from our sponsors again. We'll be back, talk a little high school postseason, tournament selection process, talk a little college football, and we got a lot more show coming up after this here on Lake Area Takes, so stay with us.
Looking for farm fresh beef for your family? Blacktop Cowboy Cattle Company has you covered. Choose from a whole, half, or a quarter beef, or purchase individual packaged cuts. Our cattle are locally raised, and your beef is processed at a trusted local facility for quality you can taste. Best of all, your order is picked up and hand-delivered locally right to your door by Eddie Whitehurst. Call Blacktop Cowboy Cattle Company today and put farm-raised beef on your family's table.
Hungry? We've got you covered. Welcome to Bentley's Restaurant, Greer's Ferry's largest restaurant. Join us for breakfast and lunch every Tuesday and Wednesday, then come back Thursday through Saturday for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. From homemade omelets and our Saturday breakfast buffet to fresh salads, daily lunch specials, and hand-cut ribeyes cut as big as you want them, there's something for everyone. Friday and Saturday nights are legendary with our seafood buffet featuring jumbo peel and eat shrimp, catfish, crawfish, and all your favorites. Plus, don't miss our delicious prime rib on Saturday nights and our crab leg dinner every Friday and Saturday. Whether you're joining us for breakfast, lunch, or dinner, you'll always find great food, generous portions, and friendly service. Bentley's Restaurant in Greer's Ferry. Come hungry, bring your friends, and make every meal one to remember.
Are you a sports card collector? Then make your next stop Stan's Sports Cards in Greenbrier. Whether you're chasing vintage legends or today's hottest rookies, Stan's Sports Cards has something for every sports fan. Browse an incredible selection of sports cards, jerseys, memorabilia, and collectibles from your favorite teams and players. Looking to sell? Stan's Sports Cards is actively buying vintage and modern sports cards. Turn those cards sitting in a box into cash today. Visit Stan's Sports Cards at 26 South Broadview, Highway 65, in Greenbrier, open Tuesdays through Fridays from 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. and Saturdays from 9 a.m. to 3 p.m.
Discover Little Red at Indian Hills, where good food, great views, and Arkansas hospitality come together in Fairfield Bay. Enjoy lunch or dinner with comfortable indoor seating, a relaxing outdoor patio, and barbecue available Thursday through Saturday. From golfers fresh off the course to locals and visitors alike, Little Red is the place to gather, eat well, and unwind. Little Red at Indian Hills. Good food, great views, and a Fairfield Bay favorite.
Ready for your next beach getaway? Discover the perfect vacation with Willock Condo Rentals. Enjoy beautiful beachfront condos in Navarre Beach and Panama City Beach, Florida. When you book directly with the owner, you'll pay no service fees, saving more money for fun in the sun. For over 15 years, Willock Condo Rentals has helped families create unforgettable beach memories with comfortable accommodations and breathtaking Gulf views. Start planning your next vacation today. Contact Willock Condo Rentals and experience the beach the way it was meant to be.
Welcome back to Lake Area Takes. And once again, special thanks to Roy Bradley for being our guest this week. Don't forget, if you were just watching, leave technical, the word technical, in the comments for a chance to win $25 to Little Red Restaurant up in Fairfield Bay. Sticking with, we've talked just a lot of random high school stuff these past few weeks, getting our show going as we wait for all these seasons to kick off. One thing that is always kind of a big thing that people watch for and wait for is postseason tournament locations and where they are chosen to be played. Now, obviously, football is played at the homes of the highest ranked teams all the way up to state finals in War Memorial, but kind of makes basketball more of the one where people kind of wait to see. Especially it seems like the lower classifications you go, people kind of wonder more and more. Baseball and softball as well gets thrown in there, soccer, and those locations have places that get chosen. And every year it seems like we always hear somebody bring up the fact that, whether they like the process for that year or where it's at that year or not, somebody always seems like you always hear wind of, there's a better way we could pick this, or there's got to be. And I'm sure we've all probably said it. I mean, I'm sure I've said it some years too, but do you like the process of postseason location selections? And if not, or even if you do, how could it maybe be bettered?
I don't think it's a terrible process. It seemed like it could, and I don't even know how it would do that because it's a committee. The AAA chooses these locations based on certain criteria, and people have to bid to be able to be chosen. So I think that's probably part of it. Is maybe sometimes you don't have enough bidders. I don't think it's a terrible process. I think it could be done. I don't want to say better, but differently. And I've got two suggestions to at least think about. I don't know that any of them are great, grand ideas. And I know one of them will probably be very unpopular. And I'll start with that one. Neutral site locations. If you're trying to determine the best teams, why should someone get to host? I understand the logistics of having enough people to work it, but if it can be done in other states, it can be done in this state. So if the process is trying to determine the best two teams, I guess, to go to Hot Springs if it's basketball or other things, it just why should a school get to be the host and get the advantages of sleeping in your own bed or not having to travel or things like that when every team should have the same challenges going into it if you want to make the playing field level. So I think you ought to look at neutral site locations. A lot of people do it. Texas, I covered high school in Texas multiple times, and their whole playoffs are based on neutral site locations, even football playoffs.
Okay.
You go in, if you can't agree on a place, you coin flip. But even all through the football playoffs, the years that I spent there, I've only seen one home playoff football game ever. And you're talking like 5 years worth of playoffs, and the team that I covered went deep into the playoffs and making it to the semifinals one year. So it can be done. It's probably a different culture here, I guess, but I don't think it's a terrible thing. Regionals, I don't think you can get away from having someone host it because you have to have so many. Yeah. And there are only so many facilities in a footprint that can host it. If you were going, say, in the way that the regions were set up last year, and 1A, you basically had West Side or Hillcrest.
Mm-hmm.
I think.
Only two.
Yeah, and there's just not many gyms with the capabilities. I mean, I guess Calico Rock would be the third one I could think of off the top of my head, but there aren't a lot of facilities in some areas that can host regionals. So I get that with regionals, but state, I think it would be great if it could be one centrally located. Now, that doesn't mean
that was my question when you say neutral site. That's a lot of the. If we hear a gripe, it seems like it's when state gets put in a corner somewhere, and somebody always says this needs to be played right in the middle of the state every year because it's easier for everybody to just come together to one spot. That's what I was going to ask if that's what you meant by that. Was
neutral
kind of go
site, centrally located. Okay. And that doesn't mean that everybody's got to be in Little Rock, but close-ish, because
the Central Arkansas area.
Central Arkansas area. I would even say go, Conway, Little Rock, Searcy. There are big high schools there who can host these big tournaments. I mean, I would even go say, Morrilton. We've been to state tournaments there. It's not a bad location. It's a great facility. It's not terribly. I mean, it's in that centralish area. You're not too far from Conway,
and it holds as many as you could put it.
Yeah,
I would I don't know that you would ever
Fill
fill it up.
Not with the lower. I don't even know.
Not with the lower, and even with higher, probably.
No, because even a lot of the lower classifications, I think, probably have more people show up.
Right.
On average. So I think those are the things that I would do. Neutral sites and try to put them all in central Arkansas area. Those are the two biggest thoughts that I have.
I think that it's always hard because everyone, when the arena first got built in Greers Ferry, there was like a stretch of, because I was in high school for the first 6 years that the arena was a thing, and it was almost like, Westside hosted a state tournament the very first year. And at the time, no other 1A school had a facility like Westside in the entire state of Arkansas. And so the next few years as state tournaments, we did a regional tournament at Hillcrest my 8th grade year. That's where state was. So Hillcrest, great host for regionals, did a great job, but it was a state tournament host one year, and it was pretty cramped. It was hard to get in and out of, and getting there. And so then for like a stretch of 4 or 5 years, obviously AAA probably didn't want to give the same location another state tournament within a certain amount of years, which is understandable. But then a lot of people would get on online forums and stuff, and you would see everybody going, no 1A gym fits as many people or is as easy to access as Greers Ferry. Why can it not just be there again? Well, now, 2026, we've been to, plenty. We've been to everywhere all over Kingdom Come, and there are a lot of schools that have nice gyms.
Or at least have access.
Or have good access. We've seen Wonderview and Sacred Heart host at Morrilton. The place up
Tree hosted Tuckerman.
Mark Tree hosting at Tuckerman, who had a very good facility. Year before that, up going toward Northwest, somebody hosted at the home of the Hillbillies. Ozark. And
County Line was the host.
And it was a huge facility.
And then someone also hosted, I guess within the last 3 years, at North Ark at Harrison.
Yes.
I can't remember which school was the host that year, but
I'm trying to think of who that would have been up that far. But you're right. I mean,
so there are facilities you can have access
to. And so it's always hard. Like last year, for at least 1A, last year was down in Lafayette, and we didn't cover. It's a long ways to go.
And it's a long way for everybody.
For everybody, and I think that by that point, though, people in the south part of the state, and I'm not knocking them, but it seems like we were hearing a lot of, oh, finally, we got another state tournament. My junior year, 2013, it was hosted by Bradley, and that was as rock's throw from Louisiana as you could possibly get. It's a tiny gym, just absolutely tiny, but it almost seems like after a certain number of years of it's never down south, it's never down south, it's never down south. But then when the semifinals, which are the last games, always played on these sites, it was all 4 teams from the same conference. And even on the boys' side, all but one of the teams was from up north. And it was just all of us sitting around going, why? All the best teams are from the northern part of the state. And they all had to drive down here. Think about Viola and Norfolk and how big of a trip that was for them to go all the way down to Lafayette.
Yeah.
And Earl and Westside and
the Final Four, Norfolk, Westside, Earl, and Bola.
Yeah.
No one within any close driving distance.
No. That would have probably, honestly, would Westside have been the closest? I don't know what Earl's route from. I don't know what the route from Earl would be, but that's basically almost in Memphis. So it was almost like we were all sitting there going, we've played these games already up at Concord, up at Hillcrest, and now we're all the way down here in the corner just to play these same games again, just for 2 of them to go to Hot Springs. And I think, and it's not just a 1A problem. That's happened in other classifications.
Yes.
But I get why, if their interest is maybe trying to keep with fairness, but I'm with you in a sense of, if you just keep it, I don't care what your mile perimeter wants to be around Little Rock. We're one of the few states who has a capital that's probably a smack dab in the middle of a state as you're ever going to get. I don't, just circle your little radius mileage, and you're right, you can fit a Conway, a Morrilton. a hot spring. You can fit a lot of big Cersei, a lot of big cities. Jacksonville, Bryant, Benton. You can fit a lot of big cities in that circle.
And that doesn't even count all the schools in Little Rock that might have nice facilities.
Oh, absolutely. But then think about it. If people want to say, well, that wouldn't be fair to the teams that are kind of in the corners. Okay, well, let's say that last year it was down in Benton. That's not a horrible drive for Lafayette, for Taylor, for Bradley. Hit the interstate and take off. Takes everybody in our neck of the woods, an hour and a half to get to Benton? I mean, you know, when you're located, if you put it in a city every year where, you know, especially that has good interstate access, it's not going to take anybody forever to get there.
No, and then the other point with this, if you've got it in a city, even a small city, say Searcy, for example, or Morrilton, you can stay there.
Oh, lodging.
All kinds of people can stay there. You don't have to drive back and forth somewhere every day.
Yep.
And it's just going to make everything so much easier on the fans.
Right.
Because if you're playing in Searcy, I mean, if you're from El Dorado, wherever, you can stay right there in Searcy. If you're playing in Bryant, if you're playing in Morrilton, you don't have to go back and forth and drive 30 or 45 minutes just to have a place to stay because there's not any hotels or not enough in that general area.
Well, and if you're anywhere close to Conway or Little Rock, especially, you're fine. You're anywhere close to Bryant, Jacksonville, Benton, you're fine. Searcy, you're fine.
Like
everywhere has got plenty of places to lodge. And again, I'm not knocking anywhere down south. I'm not trying to turn this into a, never put it in South Arkansas. But, you know, when 1A State was down in Lafayette this past year, like me and, the people I went with, we stayed in Hope. And that was a 40, 45-minute trip to get back to the gym.
Yeah.
Just to go back to Hope. And that was a trip that you made every single day, whereas you're playing in Morrilton, they've got three or four hotels in Morrilton. Well, even if they fill up, Conway's not far. And, just a quick little, 20-minute hop over.
If you're coming from that direction, Conway, if you're coming from the other direction, Russellville.
Oh, yeah. Russellville. Definitely. That might be even easier. So I think that you're spot on with the centrally located. Now, it is an interesting idea to, maybe do away with why does someone have to host it, and I get that you would have to have a process, I guess, of finding people to volunteer and to work it. But
you could even have a host school be the host of the tournament at X location.
Yeah.
I know that would be the easiest thing.
Well,
but if other states could do it, why can't we do it in Arkansas?
So what if
I know we've always done it this way kind of thing, which is the argument that I hate worse than anything.
Because nothing ever changes in this world.
No, not ever.
Well, what about if that's the case, then you have your locations, because you got 6 classifications, but that's a big enough bubble that they don't all have to be stacked on top of each other in Little Rock.
No.
If you go
Morrilton, you go Searcy, you go Conway, you go Bryant, wherever, you're not stacked on top of each other in that little bubble. Jacksonville,
you're not all just
Cabot, whoever. I mean, you've got tons of facilities.
You've got lots of facilities.
And the one thing you could do is limit it. Say, if you're Searcy, you cannot host your own classification to make it truly a neutral site thing, or whatever Morrilton, whatever classification is. You can't host that one, but you can host all the others.
So if we're talking about how you would get people to host, if you picked your 6 locations, I don't know, or if you had 10 and you just kind of rummage through them every year, different classifications in a different city, whatever. Maybe the bidding process is not for where it's played. It's just for if you would like to be the host of the tournament, and then if there was something AAA did for that school, like, all right, if you host, say it's a profitable thing for your school in this amount. Like, if you want to be the host of the tournament for us, then this is what we'll do for your school. And now schools can bid on the fact that, you know what? Yeah, we'll send 20 people volunteer. We can rummage enough people to 20, 25 people go in there for the week and volunteer and host it. And maybe that's what the bidding process is for. If you still have to have someone bid. But
I mean, there are details you can work out. I mean, a lot of things like the hospitality and things like that. I mean, they've had local people at different places volunteer and whatever. But if it's more profitable, and then, maybe you can spend a little extra more money as well. And you don't have to, rely on the same volunteers every day for the same week.
Well, what about, and you brought this up a little bit too, but state tournaments for any level never has a problem having people bid. And I don't know that we've ever seen an astronomical number of bidders, but there's always, seems like at least 3, could be all the way up to maybe 5 or 6 that want to bid, depending on what classification you're in. However, you mentioned regionals. We have seen that is a problem with some regions having enough people to bid. And, I know that a rarity is that we watched Westside host 2 years in a row, which never happens, and honestly probably shouldn't. But if you're AAA, what do? Westside's the only school that bid that second year. And you and I know for a while last year, Westside was again the only team that had a bid down for regionals. And it's like, does there come a point where if you've got something built a certain way and then you're like, okay, you got some regions where 6 schools might bid, but then you've got those few where, boy, you're struggling to get one. And if you do get one, it's the same one over and over again. And we would rather not do that every year at the same place. Is there a way to fix? Is there a way you can fix that?
I don't know that there's a great long-term fix for that, just because regions change. I would see that is what's going to happen this year. Good point. So the facilities that you may have access to will change as well. So I don't know that there's a great way to do a region. I mean, I think you do have to have a host school for the regional tournament, just because there are so many of them all over the state going on at the same time. And so the neutral site location, it would just be too difficult to manage at that many facilities at the same time. So I think you're just relying on people bidding. And unfortunately, sometimes, as we saw with Westside hosting 2 years in a row, Westside was the only bidder that second year. But, it's got to be somewhere. And maybe it's somewhere too often. But again, that's incumbent upon the people who are placing the bid saying, hey, we want to host this. So I don't know that you can force people to bid unless you're going to go up there and run the tournament yourselves. And there's again too many going on at the same time.
Too much going on at once. Yeah, especially during regionals.
Yeah. So I don't know that there's a great fix for regionals. I know people would say, we got to go to Westside again. Well, somebody else has got to bid. I don't think it's a problem with the location of the facility, just going back to the same place people, get in that rut or whatever. Yeah. But I mean, it was fine. At Hillcrest, Calico Rock has hosted it. It'll be interesting to see going forward as the regions have changed a little bit, because now in Westside's former region, you're pretty much at Hillcrest or Calico Rock, I would assume, as far as sites that you could go to.
I have no clue what kind of gym like Mammoth Spring has.
From what I remember, it's not.
I haven't ever been, so I'm.
Yeah, I don't think it's a large enough facility from what I remember.
I think that all these.
And if people, this is another idea, I just didn't mean to interrupt.
No, you're good.
If, say, the members of the region want to get together and say, hey, we've got a problem with not enough people hosting, come together and find a location, kind of centrally-ish located if you can, and say, hey, we would like, as a region, to use your facility for postseason regional tournament. Maybe it's, if you're in this area, maybe it's Lyon College. Maybe if you're in some other area, it's somewhere else if they're not using the facility at that time, obviously. You got to work around a schedule and things like that. So, I mean, if it is a problem of the same people bidding and you want to kind of get away from that, maybe as a region you can have a meeting to, hey, why don't we just kind of come together and we jointly host this at X location if it's available.
I think that, I don't know, because you've got, like you said, some of those, you have so few schools, but I think that the lake area itself is lucky because I think that Westside is a great host. Quitman has hosted state tournaments and regional tournaments, and they are a great host. You've got schools like Rosebud, Pangbert, Heber Springs. Like these are Clinton. And these guys are fantastic hosts. And the great part about the lake area is, for the most part, I mean, we're kind of north central, but we're pretty middle located. And because of the way these guys are all scattered through these classifications, we've seen Mount Vernon host regionals, and they're a great host. Like, there are a lot of good places just in our area here.
Yeah.
That I don't think people would roll their eyes or scoff or be like, it's equipment again. Or, man, we have to go to Pangburn this year. Like, the biggest gripe you might have at Pangburn is you ain't got cell service in the gym. But you've got space.
Yeah.
You've got great facilities. You've got, good concessions, nice locker rooms, nice facilities, great hospitality.
Yeah.
And
there are a ton
the
of
same
schools in this area.
the same with all those schools we just mentioned. So I think that, and that may be just us looking through Lake area glasses, but we've been out to other parts of the state, and then we look at kind of what we've got right here within a 30-mile radius of each other, and we're like, man, we got a lot of that right here.
Some great gyms and great facilities, and when people work together like that, it's gone very well.
Yeah. I guess until then, it's kind of like watching Selection Sunday. Everyone knows the date that they have the meeting. Everyone's refreshing Twitter and texting somebody that's there, or watching the meeting like, all right, where are we going? Where are we going? Where are we going? So it's always in January, middle of January, I feel like.
I think it's about right.
So we usually kind
set that for the rest of the year, it seemed like, with all the sports kind of at once.
Pretty much, yeah, they do. I think they finished out the year. So we'll see if anything ever changes, or kind of what the process stays the same. But excited to see where everything ends up this year, and consider John and I Lake Area's official
sounding board
as to the AAA, say, hey, and speaking on behalf of all of the schools, whether they want us to or not, we will gladly, any of these schools here will gladly host your postseason play. So turning page back to college. At this point, everybody's figured out. You and I pretty much can't stand it anymore. Waiting on college football. You have our number. 30. There we go.
That's to the first Saturday.
The first Saturday.
We're 28 days away from Thursday night games. And so that means we would be 23 away from week zero. So college football is just right around the corner, and thank God.
All I hear from that is that next week, from week zero, we'll be in the teens, and that's a great thing. If you're a pro sport person, hey, tonight's the Hall of Fame game. So you've got football in some shape or form, fashion, whether you want it or not.
Live-ish football
with the Hall of Fame game, Carolina and Arizona. But I came across this list not too long ago, and ended up sending it to you, being like, hey, everybody is dying to know what you and I think are some of the best games that have ever been played in college football. Like, we can sense it from home. Everyone just wants to know what you and I think about this. But it gives us something else to talk about for college football before we get to, officially previewing everything. And because we've had, we're a quarter of a century of the way into the 21st century. There's been a lot of great college football. And so this kind of breaks everything down as far as the 25 best games since the year 2000. Now, this list was made by Sports Illustrated. I don't know who their experts or one expert or how many people made this list. Before we dive into it, just in a nutshell, I didn't think it was terrible.
I didn't think it was terrible. After you get past the first three, everything is kind of just what you like. I mean, I think that's how I kind of looked at it. It's like, well, I like some of those games, but like 17 should be 4. And so I've kind of like, after the first three, I put them like in quadrants or whatever after that. That's kind of how I looked at it. It was like, is 5 really better than 6 or whatever? It's like, I don't know.
And I would guess they probably looked at TV ratings and, you'll see from the list there's a lot of playoff games, bowl games, there's national championships, and I get it, those are the biggest games of the year, but it is kind of cool to look at. So we've broken them apart kind of in groups of 5 here, just so we can fit them all on the screen. So we do start with the mid-majors game. They have number 25, the 2014 Bahamas Bowl. Western Kentucky wins by 1. Do you remember this play, a Hail Mary, 3 laterals, Do you remember the?
I remember there being some controversy over whether the play should have counted, and then with the Bahamas Bowl, because the flights in and out, the game was basically like a 10 or 11 a.m. kick. So there is some odd things going on there, and in fact, they don't even have the Bahamas Bowl in the Bahamas anymore.
Go figure. A lot of people remember number 24, the game that would never end, and in reality, this changed the overtime. This game changed the overtime rules.
This one is one of the ones I think should be much higher. I've got it in my second. After the first three, I've got it in my second, basically 4 through 10 or whatever. I think this one should be much higher because of the insanity, and people were getting punched after the game.
I forgot about that.
Yeah, I mean, it was wild. And then, the 7 overtimes, how it changed everything, how overtime is done in college football for good or bad.
I mean, look at that score.
Yeah,
74 to 72. And obviously, probably a points record that'll never be broken. 100, not anymore. 197 offensive snaps of football.
Buddy, that game was at Texas A&M. Buddy of mine was there, and by the time it was over, good gosh.
I'd be exhausted. I'd be exhausted as a fan, much less a player. But you talk about a game, sometimes people say, "Oh, this game never ends." Well, that night you started to get to a point about overtime number 5 when you thought, "Oh my gosh, it's never going to end." UCF and USF was number 23. Now this was 2017, and for those who don't remember these two teams, UCF was still mid-major back then. And both of these, smaller-ish schools were having great years. USF was 9-1, UCF 10-0. Now, this was the year UCF would go on to crown themselves national champions after finishing a perfect season. But this game had over 1,000 combined quarterback yards and was won by UCF.
Don't really remember that.
Can't really remember this game. What did you think about them making themselves national champs?
Whatever. Auburn has claimed 2 more national championships, so claim yourself whatever. It's just ridiculous. But hey, if you want to be a national champion, proclaim yourself national champions, put up a banner, celebrate it. But if you're going to do it, go all out. That's all I gotta say.
22 USC California. This was back in 2004. This may be the furthest back it went. I'm going to just take a wild stab in the dark. This was during USC's as they were beginning to become the dynasty. This may have been first year they kind of became the dynasty for a while. And it probably has to do with the fact that Aaron Rodgers was California's quarterback. Biggest highlights from this game, they nearly pulled off the upset. USC got a late stop from Cal on 4th down. Aaron Rodgers started this game 23 for 23 passing, which is an impressive stat. But I'm kind of with you. I saw this and thought it was just kind of random game in October.
Yeah.
And really, there didn't sound like there was nothing else that happened besides the fact that I really feel like a large part of this is because Aaron Rodgers was the quarterback and he had that good start.
Yeah, there are better games than that. I don't know why that's on the list. It's people are just trying to dig out random. Oh, well, this game. I kind of almost feel like this has the USF, UCF feel to it. It's like, oh, we got to grab certain teams in certain areas and all that mess. Yeah. So here's some random Pac-10-12 game.
Whatever works.
Yeah, I feel like, and without going back and looking at it, just games that should have been on this list that I don't think that were, and maybe you'll find one that the games that I thought were big is, if they really get a West Coast thing, surely there's some Mike Leach Washington State game. That just led me to think the game where Texas Tech upset Texas. I don't think it was on this list. And that was a huge deal back in the day.
Yeah,
and that would have been way better. Texas would have been way better than Cal USC.
Which is crazy that, not to spoil, but you're right, Texas Tech and Texas is not on this list. And what's crazy is that game is always looked at as one of the top 5 moments in college football history when Crabtree makes the catch and scores. But it's like, that was a great game. Like, I remember watching that game late on a Saturday night primetime with my dad. Like, that was a big game.
Musburger on the call, if I had to guess.
21 now. This was from the very famous 2007 year. And I don't know about anybody else that's college football junkies. I could talk for 2 hours about the entire 2007 season. That was just the wildest year of college football that I can ever remember, as far as the top team changing about every week. And at one point, it was like Kansas was number one or something for a while. Missouri was number one, and when West Virginia, like USF, was trying to become number. It was a lot. Yeah. This game, middle of October, early October, and the first of what I know will be at least two eventual national champs versus the eventual Heisman winner. Out of all that craziness from that year, LSU ended up winning it all. Tim Tebow won the Heisman this year in a very good game that was 28-24. Sure.
I mean, I'm sure it's whatever, but it just doesn't. You kind of have these memorable moments in some of these games. Maybe I just wasn't watching.
All right, 20 through 16 now.
Yeah, I kind of started with the dud here. The one game that I would love to talk about on this list, I think should be way higher, is the GMAC Bowl. That is the record amount of points scored in a bowl game. Yep. And the wildest thing about this, because I went back and watched some highlights, because I kind of misremembered some things. That was not the game that Byron Leftwich tore his MCL or whatever it was. That was against Akron, where they had to, on the last couple of drives of the game, the offensive linemen were carrying him down the field every play. Yeah. And they ended up losing. But this game was just completely bonkers in that Marshall did not take the lead until overtime. Played from behind the entire game. The first two touchdowns that ECU scored were off Marshall turnovers. But they just kept plugging along. And then on the last play of the regular, the fourth quarter, Marshall went ahead and then could have won it, but missed the extra point. And so that took it into overtime, and it took two overtimes. And I think that game, just for all the insanity, deserves to be a lot higher than wherever they have that at, 17th, 18th?
18th.
And the game below that is another game. The Ohio State-Miami BCS National Championship game, because that one was so bizarre, and that ended the Miami huge, long winning streak.
34-game win streak. Yeah. Double overtime was snapped. And you're right, there was a lot of controversy in that game, and there are, if you don't know what we're talking about, there are 30 for 30 documentaries you can watch on it, but it was...
that play in overtime, was it not, where they threw the flag and called the penalty, and then Ohio State got another opportunity. They punched it in the end zone.
I think that I was too young. I definitely don't remember this GMAC Bowl, but after having put it on here and read the excerpt from the game, I thought I need to look at that game more, because that's crazy to me. You said Marshall never led the whole game, but it ain't like this game was close, because at halftime it says ECU was leading 38-8.
Yeah.
So that's not only just they didn't lead till the end. Came back from 30 down at half. Another number 20 eventual national champs, eventual Heisman winner. Clemson beats Lamar Jackson in Louisville in early October. The Florida State Auburn national championship game. Now, I do remember this game. It was I thought this was a great game because it was a comeback, and I remember Auburn being up big at half, and that last touchdown being scored with just 13 seconds left, and that was a fun game to watch.
Yeah, got no problem with that being on the list where it is. I just think those other two, Ohio State, Miami, and the Marshall ECU games should both. I've got them top 10 on my list.
Yeah. Pittsburgh and West Virginia. Now, this is definitely the lowest scoring game on this list, but this game was a very large upset. And again, this is that crazy 2007 season. But this was West Virginia with a shot to go to the national title coming into the final week of the year, 28-point favorite, and they can't even put up 10 points.
Yeah, West Virginia should have played for the national championship, but hey, you got to take care of business. And when you have a rivalry like that, they're just an hour away basically from each other. A long-standing up until all these nutso conference switches. Now they're in different conferences, but
which is how crazy it was that 07 season, because they should have played for a national title.
But a member of the Big East.
I don't believe they would have ever beat LSU or any. I'm just like
they were legit good. Pat White, was amazing. They had Steve Slayton and some of those guys. They were a legit team. And then Of course, Rich Rod.
Pat McAfee. You know,
Oh, yeah, the punter.
he's everywhere these days.
He's on TV all the time. But yeah, I mean, then Rich Rod, not long after that game, I guess, left and went to Michigan. And
that's what I think the article said. He flirted from following this game. He flirted with Alabama before settling on Michigan. More on him at Michigan to come. 15 through 11. We start with the Iron Bowl. It's not a specific Iron Bowl game that you're looking for. You'll probably see it in a minute. But this was what they called this the comeback. This was Cam Newton, and Auburn scored 28 of the final 31 points to come back and win the 2010 Iron Bowl. Do you remember this game?
No.
This was I actually do remember this game because we turned this game off because we thought it was over. And then all of a sudden you just keep watching the ticker at the bottom, and it just keeps getting closer and closer. And pretty good finish.
Instead of that game, I would have put on the week before, and we'll see that game later, the kick six, where Auburn had the miracle win against Georgia.
Was that the kick six was with Bama? Wasn't the one with Georgia? That was the what they call that, the prayer of Jordan Hare, I think, where the defender tips it straight and the guy's running right beside him and catches it. Yeah. Now that finish, that was live finish. I agree as well. It was a great game as well. Definitely a top moment. But
I think that's higher than that one.
I'm with you. The 2017 Rose Bowl between Penn State and USC. Again,
that one was bonkers.
This one was bonkers because Penn State had this one in the bag. This was, I don't want to say the early days of everybody being like, "Oh, Franklin can't win," but I mean, you look at that, a walk-off field goal win, but USC scored the last 17 points, and after scoring 49 in the first three quarters, Penn State puts up a goose egg in the fourth quarter.
Yeah. For years, in the summer when you flip on ESPNU or News or whatever, they would have that game playing as part of their rotation. And, seen that game so many times, it's wild, and I think that's a deserving spot for that one.
This one, I'm not real sure why it's on here. It's, for me personally, Florida and Bama from the 08 SEC Championship. I think the only reason it's on here was because it's the best Florida team, which I do agree with that statement. I think that 08 team was the best Florida team with Urban Meyer, and it was the first great team Saban had with Bama. But nobody was beating Florida in 2008.
That's a bad choice. You could put the Texas game there instead.
Bama beats Clemson in the 2016 College Football Championship game. Now, the ending of this game, I will give them this, was crazy. In the fourth quarter alone, in their comeback, Bama had an onside kick recovery, a 51-yard touchdown pass, and then followed it up with the exclamation point with a 95-yard kickoff return. Yeah. Clemson did blow that one for sure.
And I think that's probably the game where, so many highlights of Nick Saban's career, but for him to go with the onside kick there
was big. Oh yeah,
because that is so uncharacteristic for him.
Mm-hmm. I remember this game because, Lord, we all know this game was 30,000 times better than the national championship game. But TCU made it by beating Michigan 51-45 in the Fiesta Bowl. This was a very fun game to watch. I think it's a little high, but I think putting it on the top 25 is not a bad thing because the game was phenomenal. But TCU had 2 pick sixes, and fun fact, it was Jim Harbaugh's last loss at Michigan because they went undefeated the next year and won it all.
Yeah, so I have no problem with that one being there. I do think there's probably a little too much recency bias, but, without people going back and doing a whole lot of research, and as you should, if you're putting together a top 25 list like this.
I'll agree with you there.
Then I think there are probably better choices on some of those.
Georgia and Ohio State in the college football semis in 2022. I remember this one, and you got 2 juggernauts. It was a great game. I think the most poetic part of this was that as Ohio State kicked their field goal to lose the game, clock struck midnight, and it became 2023. So, kind of a cool way for Georgia to start the year. But I don't have a problem with that one being on there.
Sure.
Georgia and Oklahoma in the 2018 Rose Bowl. Now this one
deserves to be in there. I've got it in my top 10 as well because this game was so bonkers and such a great game from start to finish. It was nuts.
This was the 5th year of the college football playoff, the first overtime game, and Oklahoma did have, a nice little 17-point cushion that they did give up to Georgia. And you're right, the game was, I think bonkers was a good word for it. Now, number 8. 2017 championship game. I'm fine with this one being on here too because it was a 26-game win streak that got snapped, and Clemson clawed their way back in. Yeah, clawed their way back into it. Put up 3 touchdowns in the fourth quarter. We'll go back a little bit. How about the first 5 or 6 years? Right here, close to the top 5. The infamous game in South Bend. USC goes to Notre Dame, wins by 3 on the 15th of October in 2005. And if you need 2 words to describe this game, if you just say push, everybody knows what you're talking about. And USC extended their win streak to 28 games.
I remember watching that game, being an old person. I remember where I was sitting at in South Texas, or I guess East Texas at that point, watching. I remember watching this game. I think it's probably ranked a little high, if you ask me. It was a good game, but
I think one of those that's more so over the moment than
everlasting kind of deal.
Ohio State and Michigan. I would have been shocked to have not seen one of these games on here. And in fairness, in the past 25 years, this is the best one. Both teams undefeated. Number 1 versus number 2. Winner's going to go to the BCS national title game. USC or Ohio State ends up winning by 3. Troy Smith won the Heisman that year. Man, I was 10 years old. I can't say I remember the game in person. You've seen highlights of it ever since then. Definitely seems like it deserves to be on here, in my opinion. But,
no problem. No.
Let's see. No, I might be missing one. All right, we're going to get to the top 5 here in just one moment because I don't want to give away the farm, but I don't want to not keep up with the flow that we've got going here.
And I'm sure anybody paying attention over the last however many years could probably guess the number 1.
I think that
it was the first one I thought of too.
Yeah, I think this the number 1 before giving it away. I think the number 1 is the easiest number 1 to go for out of all the games. And I think that everyone's probably got a few games in mind that they're thinking we haven't seen these yet. And you're probably, if I had to guess, you're probably about to see a couple of the ones you're thinking of for sure right here in this next graphic. So let me see if this is it right here. Yes, it is. All right, number 5, we've got us. Again, this is a Sports Illustrated made this. They have Alabama and Georgia from the 2018 national championship. This is when Jalen Hurts played the entire game, and then out of the blue, Nick Saban decides, you know what, let me throw my backup in here that hasn't played all year. And they ended up walking it off on a 2nd and 26 pass. And I think it was at that moment, if anybody already didn't think it, you looked at Nick Saban and went, should we ever question?
Between that and the other game we talked about on the onside kick, it's like the guy in the biggest moments of the sport comes up and just does something that we think is probably so uncharacteristic of him. But it works, and it shows why he has been the best. Maybe he's been the best coach of all time, but you can't really think of anybody who's been better.
No.
You can have that debate at another time, but goodness, if there's somebody out there, I just don't know.
I was very young for this one, but my gosh, you will never not see this on a montage of upsets. Probably still the greatest. Is this the greatest upset ever?
I think it's got to be because at that point, App State was still FCS. They won the FCS national championship that year.
And we talked about that 07. We talked about that 07 season being crazy. This was week 1. This kind of set the tone for what the whole season was going to become. This was when App State went up to Ann Arbor and beat Michigan by 2. This was the premier game on the Big Ten network. So great look for the Big Ten. Lose your first game on the network to a FCS team.
11 o'clock kickoff.
11 o'clock kickoff, and App State won because they blocked the last-second field goal. And what a crazy finish it was.
Yeah, it was absolutely wild. And upsets happen. It's part of the sport. It's part of any sport. But you never think that a school like Michigan is going to lose to an FCS school.
This was like an upset on steroids, though. Nobody in their right mind. Because what was Michigan ranked in this game? They had to be top 10.
Oh, for sure.
Easily. What do you think about the Fiesta Bowl from 07 Boise State and Oklahoma?
I have it ranked high, but not that high. it was just bonkers. I mean, the fact that not Boise just won, but the way that they won, that last play, and just completely insane game. And it showed, I think, the highlight of that Boise era of them being a legitimate power.
Yeah, I think Boise had a lot of fans, people around the country, as, again, probably definitely the most publicized and best mid-major school in the country. And you show up and you beat an Oklahoma team that had, I believe that was the team that had Adrian Peterson, best running back in the country. And just the way the game ended, I mean, these were the plays that won it for them. 7 seconds left to force overtime at a hook and lateral touchdown pass with fourth down halfback pass that pulled them within one in overtime. And then obviously they won it on the 2-point conversion on the Statue of Liberty handoff. So it was just like video game stuff for this game, and for it all to work perfectly was just.
Well, then Ian Johnson, who scored that last touchdown, proposed to his girlfriend, who was the Boise State cheerleader, right on the sideline there after they won, which is like, okay, this is big game.
Poetry. Yeah. The kick six is number 2, 2013 Iron Bowl, 6-point win by Auburn. Again, if you've never seen it, then you either don't like college football or you've lived under a rock. But Bama trying to kick a field goal to win. Nowhere close, lands way short, 109 yards, which is the longest you can run a touchdown back. 109 yards, no time on the clock. The fourth quarter alone in this game, Bama had a 99-yard touchdown. Auburn had a 39-yard touchdown with 32 seconds left to tie it. And this was an exclamation point on the season for Auburn. They would go on to win the national title. I mean, the moment is what lives on, obviously the biggest, but it was a good Iron Bowl. It was a good game.
It was. Before we get to number 1, I've got one more surprise that's not on the list. Is there any games that you would put on the 25 that didn't make the list?
I thought about it, and I tried to get away, like you said, from recency and tried to go back to think about, when I was a kid, games that were really cool that I remember as a kid, and the only one I could think of we've already mentioned, and that was Texas and Texas Tech. Yeah. So to me, that should have been not only on the list, that should have been, to me, at least top 10. That was the only one. Sure. That was the only one in my head that I could think of.
Yeah, that's the only one that I could think of as well, other than personal biases. And things
right. Besides those, yes.
But as far as one that legitimately deserves, I think that Texas game should have been very high on the list because that was such a big moment in college football and a big moment among tortilla tossers everywhere.
Yeah. So before we reveal it, did you have a problem with number 1?
No. It's the first one I thought of. I thought this has got to be it. Even going back and looking if you don't have an image of that last, touchdown burned into your head, I've seen it 8 trillion times of Vince Young trotting into the end zone.
Landed him pretty high draft pick. Landed him on the cover of Madden. When you're young, you can kind of have vague memories of being like, I think I watched that game, or I kind of think I was 9 years old and I remember watching this game in the living room, sitting in my living room floor. Just everything in that game. And so here's what all was listed as big parts of this game for the Texas win. And I hate to say that a Texas win is the best college football game in the last 25 years, but I agree with you. Like, this has to be number 1. Both teams undefeated. This game featured 2 Heisman Trophy winners and 1 Heisman Trophy runner-up. And I do believe that the fact that Vince Young got runner-up may be a huge reason why Texas won this game, because you've heard multiple of his teammates say that from that minute that he got runner-up, we all said, heck no, we winning this. We're going to prove them wrong because we have the best player. And do you think he was the best player that year?
Yeah. Absolutely. No doubt.
USC obviously going for a 3-peat. This was a big one, but I thought this was cool. Imagine if this was if you're a legend, one of the most legendary college football broadcasters of all time, if not the biggest, and this is the last game you ever call for Keith Jackson. This was his final broadcast. You can't go out anywhere higher up than this game. But
now he'd be known as a Rose Bowl West Coast kind of guy.
Oh, yeah, for sure, 100%. Reggie Bush had the play of the game, maybe. but not in the way. This was the game when he had that weird, what we call in today's world, brain fart. Why he chose to lateral the football, I don't think anybody still to this day knows. I think we've all heard him try to explain why he did, and I don't think it made any sense. But for whatever reason, right before they were about to score, he decided to lateral back. It cost USC points, and then in the final, I mean, talk about how Vince Young did in the whole game is one thing in that season, but in the last 2 possessions for Texas, he alone, passing and running the football, had 120 yards.
Yeah.
Just a phenomenal game, and probably the best finish ever in this century for sure.
Yeah. And there are some games I would have different on that list if we just keep going back. I think one game you kind of have to add, and I don't know that it was the best game, but it was a good game, is going back to last year's championship game between Indiana and Miami. I think it was kind of monumental.
Great
So
game.
I think it should be somewhere on that list. And I would have had things a lot higher. I mean, after that Rose Bowl between Texas and USC, I've got Clemson, Alabama. The 35-31 game was 2. And the Ohio State-Miami game, it was in double overtime, and it was number 3. And then just kind of like a second tier of really good, like the Kick 6, the GMAC Bowl, the Fiesta Bowl with Boise in Oklahoma, the 7 overtime A&M LSU game, that kind of thing. So
when we looked at this, we got to talking about, biggest game for the last 25 years. But then I kind of asked you, I'm like, man, maybe we should at least say what some of our favorite games, just personally, because like you said, a lot of our personal favorites are probably not going to be listed.
So a couple of them should be. I'm just going to make that case for that 2007 ASU Memphis game, and if people aren't familiar with it, ASU was down 31-6 at halftime at home against Memphis.
Let's see if we can watch it here.
And that is the 2006 game.
The video we have is 2006.
The Hail Mary at Memphis.
Okay.
But yeah, and for people who are just like a college football fan and not in tune to that series is bonkers. There are weird things that happen when these two schools get together because you have the Hail Mary one year. The next year, Memphis goes up 31-6 at halftime and is just kicking our tail all over the field. ASU comes back to win. Memphis does not score a single point in the second half. And legend has it that Tyrell Johnson, who played in the NFL for the Vikings and is now a coach somewhere in Central Arkansas, went up to the quarterback at halftime and said, they're not scoring the second half. Do what you got to do. They're not scoring the second half. He's like, okay. He said in an interview as recently as a month ago, that because it'll be 20 years, this fall. So, and then just all kinds of bonkers things. And then you go back to that I don't remember the year, it's the early 80s, when Memphis had 5 downs. It's basically known as the 5-down game. And you see this iconic image, at least in Northeast Arkansas, of Larry Lacewell just pleading with the officials on the field, just beating on the grass, and Tim Keene trying to pull him back up. I mean, it's just, if you've never seen that black and white photo, it's still in some restaurants in Jonesboro because it was such an iconic. Because ASU stopped them 4 times in a row in a goal situation, and the officials gave him a 5th down and stopped him again. But that iconic photo, that series is bonkers. There's nutty things that always seems to happen. And so if you're just looking for a game to watch, I guess it'll be the first week of the season. But yeah, it's just a weird little bonker series.
Here's the clip we were talking about.
Yeah, it was 2006.
2006.
Third down.
You can hear it. Go Kitty. Great Newport coach and our announcer for about 15 years. Color announcer.
Third down, quick drop, Leonard rolling left, trying to buy some time. Leonard will throw it deep downfield. He's got several men down there, and it is no signal. Touchdown, Arkansas State! Touchdown flag! They have won it! No flags on the play! How in the world did he throw that ball down there and get that? I don't know. Touchdown, Arkansas State, and this ball game is over. Arkansas State, we got a break. Arkansas State has defeated Memphis on a Hail Mary pass, and I still don't know who caught it.
an Arkansas guy's call right there.
Yeah.
Like that's great. I love that he was sticking with the professionalism of trying to let everybody know who won the game. I still don't know who caught the ball. That was awesome.
Neil Keaty, the color guy, head coach at Newport, won state championships before he became our color guy after he retired from coaching. But I mean, always you got that. You can always hear that twang when he was on the microphone.
So when I asked you about personal favorite games, I got like a whole link to read about this game from you.
Yeah.
And a lot of people may remember it, but a lot of us may not.
It was a bizarre.
Tell us about this one and the final score. We didn't leave any digits out. Final score of this game was 3-0 in overtime, correct?
Yes, it is the first major college football game to end 0-0 and go to overtime. It was the 2005 in Jonesboro against Florida Atlantic. Howard Schnellenberger was the coach at FAU at the time. He was the first coach of that program. Took them from the FCS to the FBS not too long before that when they joined the Sun Belt. But gosh, that was such a wild, crazy, dumb game. And it
had to be something for you to sit there for 60 minutes and watch nobody score.
Yes, and it's like, okay, we missed a field goal, or this happened. It's like ASU is so much better than FAU, but weird, dumb things kept happening. It's like at some point somebody's got to score somehow or whatever, but nobody finally did. And then turnovers and whatever, and then I want to say FAU had the ball first in overtime, if I remember correctly. It's been a long time. I was at that game. Drove up from East Texas to watch that contest. and then Eric Nyhouse ended it with a field goal. Oh, thank God. When the game was over, it's like, thank God. It's one thing to play in a game, but it would be another thing to lose that game. And, probably, I don't feel too bad for FAU after losing that game to have to fly back to South Florida because somebody had to lose it. But it was just a bizarre, odd game. And to say that you were at the first 0-0 game to go to overtime and ever at the FBS level was just a cool thing to say. It's like, and that headline, I still tease Bill Bowen, who was the football SID at the time. He said thrilling was in the headline, I think. I don't remember the exact, but I still tease him about that every once in a while. I was like, yeah.
Was that the word for it?
Yeah. So, it was a win, and it was important for ASU at that time in the middle of the Sun Belt Conference race, went on to win a 3-way tie against Monroe and Lafayette to go to a bowl game that year.
That win made them 4-1, I think it said at the time.
So that was a big win, a much needed win, and a weird, bonkers,
Now, was this a conference? Was FAU? Was this a conference game?
It was a conference game.
Okay.
Yeah, they were in the Sun Belt. I don't remember exactly what year they joined. It could have been too much before that because they were in the FCS, went to the playoffs a year or two, and then came up to the Sun Belt, and they kind of struggled that year.
I just can't wrap my mind around sitting and watching 60 minutes of nobody scoring. Was the biggest thing when you sent that to me. I was like, it's cool to say you were there for history, and it has to be dramatic because it's all about Lord. By the time you get to the fourth quarter, you're like, somebody's got to score.
Yeah.
Like I get how the drama builds, but I'm thinking, can you imagine saying that whole first half being like, oh my gosh, no one has scored?
Not just the whole first half.
I mean, you were the whole
right
game,
up to the very end.
At least at the end, it kind of gets dramatic. It's like, man. So.
Yeah, they were turnovers. I mean, just dumb things.
I read.
I think they were almost inventing stupid things.
I found the stats page from this on ESPN. I think that y'all's quarterback, I believe, threw 3 picks in this game, and I believe theirs threw 2. So quarterback play was as minimal as it can get, and
Nick Nolte was a good quarterback. I mean,
I recognize the name. I'm like, man, he wasn't half bad of a quarterback, I don't believe. But wow, 3-0. That's
yeah. I mean, still get to bring that up and say you're part of history. It was it's fun to talk about. And a lot of people say about that 0-0 thing. I'll show the little graphic between Frank Beamer holding his hands up when Virginia Tech played Wake Forest and went to overtime. But they were not the first. I don't care what anybody says. I was there. You can Google it. ASU and Florida Atlantic was the first to perform that awesome feat.
If it involves ASU, I'm not going to doubt you one bit, but. there was more than 3 points scored in the one I chose. I believe 3 points were on the board within about 5 minutes. But I went a little more recent, and I didn't realize I would go quite this recent. This one, now we talked a few weeks ago about you being a season ticket holder, and you go to, you said anywhere from like 6 to 8 games a year, all the home games and some road games. I may go to 1 game a year, maybe one every 2 years, which is not, I like sitting on my lazy boy from 11 a.m. to midnight and just flipping through games. Like I like just the comfort of my home in the fall watching the football. But this game back in 2021, so I'd been dating my now wife for about 10 months. And I've known my wife my whole life, but I've known her family my whole life, but I thought I need to butter them up a little bit. And just because I thought I needed to. And, at the time, not married, and, the job I had a company car. I wasn't paying for fuel. So the only money that came out of my account regularly was a house payment, water and electric, and a cell phone. And so, like, whatever else, that was, before you get married, you're on your own. Your money's kind of whatever you want to do with it. And so I thought, I want to maybe my future in-laws would want to go to the Texas game. Now, at this time, this was the last Arkansas-Texas game before Texas came to the SEC. This was the first time we had played Texas in 7 years. And the 7 years before that, when we played Texas in 2014, was a bowl game. So it wasn't even regular season. We played them in the Texas Bowl and beat them by about 20. So this was the first regular season game versus Texas since 2008. So it had been 13 years since Arkansas had Texas on their schedule. So when the schedule comes out and I'm trying to pick a game to go to, I'm like, all right, Texas, this was Steve Sark's first year. Texas is top 25. Arkansas football, it's as who knows what they're going to do as possible. And so this was second game of the year. We'd be the cupcake in week 1. It was like, who knew how good we were going to be, how bad we were going to be. Texas beat a cupcake week 1. It was like, okay, whatever. And I went ahead and I asked my future father-in-law, my future brother-in-law, and my dad. I said, would y'all want to go to the Texas game? If we went, I went behind their backs and bought the tickets in the corner of the end zone. I thought, I may waste a ton of money on this game. We may get trounced by 40-something, but we never play Texas anymore. This will be fun. This will be pretty cool. And we get there. It's striped out. It's red and white all the way around. We muff a kick, a punt in like the first 3 minutes of the game. And it's like, oh, shoot, this is how this is going to go the whole dang game. And from that muff punt on, though, it's almost like we never made a mistake the rest of the game. The energy never left the stadium that entire game. It was a 20-0 game at half. Going into the third, it was an even bigger margin. And it was like, you knew, even with 15 minutes left, you're like, we're fixing to beat Texas. And when you haven't played them, your regular season game in 13 years, they're ranked in the top 25. And even though you don't ever play them anymore, it's pretty well known they're your rival. Got to beat Texas. And just sitting there watching, knowing we're about to win this game. The atmosphere was incredible. Didn't really have anything to do with the game, but it was the 20th anniversary of 9/11, so there was tributes everywhere, all throughout the game, and just everybody just being so into the game made it so fun. My brother-in-law and I went prepared. We had horns down shirts. It's like we're going to go in style, and we're going to make sure that our presence is known. And then obviously, the field storm when the game was over and the goalpost coming down, it was just, that was our view. Like we sat in the corner of the end zone. Funnest night of being a Razorback fan in person that I've ever been to in any of the sports I've ever watched them play. When you beat one of your biggest rivals, when they're ranked, in the top 15, we won't talk about the fact they went 5-7 that year. Not important. At the time they were number 15, and you were like, and they're going to be pretty good. Arkansas ended up going 9-4. It was one of their better years with Pittman. But it was just, for me, as a fan, even though, like I said, I preferred watching all the games at home, it's like getting to go there for a big upset over a big rival. Pretty cool experience. Yeah. But
always fun to see your team do something like that.
Definitely not a 3-0 game. But
overtime.
In overtime.
Don't forget that.
Yeah, in overtime. 3-0 in overtime, and that should have probably been on the graphic somewhere. But we can't wait for college football, and obviously we're going to have more of that in the coming weeks. But we're going to take our final commercial break now, hear from our sponsors one more time, and wrap the show up with some Love It or Leave It this week in Animal Takes and kind of preview what we got coming up in the next few weeks. So sit tight, and we'll be back in just a moment here on Lake Area Takes.
Looking for farm fresh beef for your family? Blacktop Cowboy Cattle Company has you covered. Choose from a whole, half, or a quarter beef, or purchase individual packaged cuts. Our cattle are locally raised, and your beef is processed at a trusted local facility for quality you can taste. Best of all, your order is picked up and hand-delivered locally right to your door by Eddie Whitehurst. Call Blacktop Cowboy Cattle Company today and put farm-raised beef on your family's table.
Hungry? We've got you covered. Welcome to Bentley's Restaurant, Greer's Ferry's largest restaurant. Join us for breakfast and lunch every Tuesday and Wednesday, then come back Thursday through Saturday for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. From homemade omelets and our Saturday breakfast buffet to fresh salads, daily lunch specials, and hand-cut ribeyes cut as big as you want them, there's something for everyone. Friday and Saturday nights are legendary with our seafood buffet featuring jumbo peel and eat shrimp, catfish, crawfish, and all your favorites. Plus, don't miss our delicious prime rib on Saturday nights and our crab leg dinner every Friday and Saturday. Whether you're joining us for breakfast, lunch, or dinner, you'll always find great food, generous portions, and friendly service. Bentley's Restaurant in Greer's Ferry. Come hungry, bring your friends, and make every meal one to remember.
Are you a sports card collector? Then make your next stop Stan's Sports Cards in Greenbrier. Whether you're chasing vintage legends or today's hottest rookies, Stan's Sports Cards has something for every sports fan. Browse an incredible selection of sports cards, jerseys, memorabilia, and collectibles from your favorite teams and players. Looking to sell? Stan's Sports Cards is actively buying vintage and modern sports cards. Turn those cards sitting in a box into cash today. Visit Stan's Sports Cards at 26 South Broadview, Highway 65, in Greenbrier, open Tuesdays through Fridays from 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. and Saturdays from 9 a.m. to 3 p.m.
Discover Little Red at Indian Hills, where good food, great views, and Arkansas hospitality come together in Fairfield Bay. Enjoy lunch or dinner with comfortable indoor seating, a relaxing outdoor patio, and barbecue available Thursday through Saturday. From golfers fresh off the course to locals and visitors alike, Little Red is the place to gather, eat well, and unwind. Little Red at Indian Hills. Good food, great views, and a Fairfield Bay favorite.
Ready for your next beach getaway? Discover the perfect vacation with Willock Condo Rentals. Enjoy beautiful beachfront condos in Navarre Beach and Panama City Beach, Florida. When you book directly with the owner, you'll pay no service fees, saving more money for fun in the sun. For over 15 years, Willock Condo Rentals has helped families create unforgettable beach memories with comfortable accommodations and breathtaking Gulf views. Start planning your next vacation today. Contact Willock Condo Rentals and experience the beach the way it was meant to be.
All right, back here on Lake Area Takes, and getting ready to put a wrap on episode number 7. Get to our Love It or Leave It. Kind of one of our little short, quick, fun segments we've gotten to where we do at the end of every week. If you're new to the show, we just going to kind of run through 4 or 5 different things happening in sports and give our opinions on whether or not we think it's good or bad, whether we would love it or whether we would leave it. Couple baseball ones in here today, and we'll start with this one. Biggest news from earlier this week with the trade deadline in baseball. Skubal ends up leaving Detroit. I think everybody knew it would happen, but I don't think it was quite known where he would end up. I think everybody and their mother, when they saw, the Dodgers name mentioned, was kind of hoping that probably wouldn't happen unless you're a Dodgers fan, but it did. So, is the Skubal trade to the Dodgers bad for baseball?
Yes and no.
Okay.
The rich getting richer. I think that line is getting old now. gosh, the Dodgers seem to just trot out. They're printing money. The Federal Reserve of baseball right now. So they're going out there. It's like, hey, if we need somebody, we'll get him. But if you got to do something to get him, but the other teams didn't. But the good part about this, so is it bad for baseball? Yeah, in theory. Will the Dodgers win the World Series? Yeah, just don't know. It's such an odd thing in the baseball postseason. Doesn't mean they definitely will, but it certainly improves their chances. The one thing that I think that can be good, come out of this in a good way for everyone, is that hopefully with the rich keep getting richer, that somebody, whether it's the players, the ownership, whoever, they come together and say, hey, we've got to put in place ways to balance the competitiveness of baseball, because it's, if you're a Marlins fan, if you're a Pirates fan, whoever, you don't have any chance year in after year out. And so something needs to be done to make it where baseball is competitive from top to bottom, or at least everyone has a chance. And so hopefully, if anyone still had any doubts over where baseball is at, then this will be the final nail in the coffin for them.
I think it was going to happen either way. We talked probably about a month ago about, how we're potentially in for a holdout next season. I think this solidified it. I think the owners are fed up with, I know you said you're tired of the phrase the rich getting richer, but I think that this kind of stuff is what the vast majority of owners are sick of. And I think that this was the final, nail in the coffin for the fact that we probably won't have baseball next year for a while, if at all, until they can find a way to try to put a cap on team spending like the Dodgers spend.
Yeah, and one thing I think they should do, while we're kind of talking about that, they need to have some kind of floor mechanism as well. Teams like the Marlins should not be able to get away with spending, such tiny fractions as well. So you can have a cap, which is great, but you got to have a floor too, because you've got to make these teams who are not spending the money to have a competitive team, you've got to make them do that. And I think that's what makes the NFL so great.
So make them margin.
Yes.
Yeah. I just think, from the fan standpoint, if you look at it from the not business aspect, it's, you get tired of watching super teams get built. He pitched a great game the other night against the Cubs in his first appearance. It was funny that they still lost, and I think it's funny that they're 2-8 in their last 10. And I think that it's one of those cases now with the super teams. As a fan, if you're not a Dodgers fan, you kind of find yourself always rooting against them. But from the business side of things, I think this pretty much solidifies the fact that the owners are going to call for big change next year. And I think that this pretty much did it. So, in the end, anything that keeps baseball from being played is bad. So, I don't think it was very good. To the NFL for a minute. Preseason starts tonight. Hall of Fame game, as we said, is this evening between the Panthers and the Cardinals. NFL season extended by one game a couple years ago, but now everybody still talks about preseason. And should we have it? Should we still play 4 games? Should we only play 1 game? Should we play 2? Right now we're at 3. Everybody has 3 preseason games, unless you're playing the Hall of Fame game, then you get 4. Do you think that NFL preseason should be shrunk more to a certain number, or should it just be done away with?
I don't think even if it should be done away with, I don't think it ever will, because the owners want the gate money. They won't want the people buying the tickets and things like that, and so they're not going anywhere. I think 3 is probably an all right number. I think 2 is probably better, but with the 20 games being the 17 regular season and 3 preseason, that gives everybody kind of an equitable home and home split. So I don't think they're just going to move past that 20 number. But I don't think you need 3. I mean, when so many of these games are just basically being played because the NFL says you have to play them, I don't think it does anybody a whole lot of good.
Even as a kid, I always didn't understand why they played 4. I mean, you could tell nobody watched them. You turned it on as a kid, expecting to watch favorite players, and you're like, heck, they ain't playing.
It's like spring training.
It's like spring training, and it's when your parent or your dad or whoever, your grandpa, whoever watches, looks at you and goes, "Well, no, son, those big guys, they're not going to play these pre." Well, then why are they? Why are we even having them anyway?
No.
I never understood, even as a young person why there was 4. I was happy it got shrunk to 3, and I'm with you 100%. Just give them 2, give them 1 home preseason game, make them go somewhere for 1, and just call it good. Like, NFL does not have a money problem. I mean, they're not going to lose out on very much by knocking off 1 more preseason game off the schedule. And if you want to not count the Hall of Fame game as 1 and give 2 teams 3 of them, then fine. Just make it 2 and call it good, because like you said, it gives a perfect home and home balance. Now you're right with 17 regular season games at an odd number, but that's kind of their own fault for making it an odd number of regular season games. Back to college football for a minute. Boy, there have been a lot of Big Ten coaches dropping some lines about the SEC in the last few weeks. One of them used to coach at Arkansas. One of them just won a national championship, and I'm sure plenty of others had other things, just maybe not quite as quotable as those 2. But SEC used to kind of run the business, and now, for 3 straight years, the SEC team hasn't even played the national championship game, and the Big Ten has won 3 straight. Love it or leave it that the Big Ten will win a 4th straight college football playoff in a row.
Yeah. I don't really care one way or the other, to be quite honest, of who wins it. Well, it's got to be my team, and the chances of that is, pretty slim. But almost non-existent, I will even go to say. But it's part of it. When the SEC was the dominant force for years, they were doing the chest beating. Now it's the Big Ten. I think they're just coaches filling airtime and trying to make each other feel good. Say, hey, we're the best, whatever, blah, blah, blah. It's just people got to talk about something until the season starts. With the Big Ten win a 4th in a row, yeah, maybe. I mean, they certainly have shots. Teams like Indiana and Ohio State are going to be good again. Will they be good enough to win it? I don't know. I mean, will somebody like Georgia win it? Texas? Who knows? Maybe Miami will step up. Notre Dame, whoever. Don't know. But, yeah, I don't think it matters. I think it's just a bunch of talk, to be honest.
I think that, you're supposed to have the back of your conference, whatever, being a Razorback fan, it's like, well, I should defend the SEC, but I don't think I can, because they've just had better teams. And yeah, Georgia's good, Texas is good, LSU's been good, Ole Miss has been good the last few years, Bama's always going to be pretty good, A&M's been pretty good. But when you watch Ohio State play right now, a few years ago when you watched Michigan play, last year when you watched Indiana play, Oregon, every year up until playoff time.
Yeah.
Penn State, when they had those few years where they were knocking on the top 5 all the time, you watch those games and you're like, those teams are just better. Yeah. And so I'm not shocked at all that the SEC hasn't had a championship team the last 3 years. And so honestly, yeah, I think Big Ten will win their 4th straight. I think the only team in the SEC that gives them remotely any kind of legitimate shot is Georgia. I don't think LSU would quite go that far. I don't think Texas, from last week or 2 weeks ago, whenever, I think Texas is wildly overrated this year. I think Ohio State has a great team again. I think Oregon always has a great team. You're right. Who Indiana could run it back again. Yeah. Signetti made his jab at the SEC, saying, we're not crying a river. You don't see us crying a river. You didn't see us crying a river when we couldn't win. And then Brett Bielema talking about how this ain't 2005 no more. Yeah. And they're right. I mean, SEC hasn't been in 4 years, and this will be 4 years unless they make it back. So, yeah, I think Big Ten will get their 4th straight. Back to baseball.
So, which team are you gonna, or were you waiting for the big show to see all that?
Yeah, I'll hold it because I'm torn. I don't want to give away the farm for a few weeks. Back to baseball for a minute. Now, I don't know about, back in the 90s and stuff.
Back in the olden days.
No, I didn't say that. I was born in the 90s, so that's not – I was born in the 90s, so that's not olden days. My wife likes to tell all of her students that I was born in the 1900s just to get a laugh out of them. But, most of my childhood, there was 3 division winners and 1 wild card team. And now we have 3. Okay. Is 3 wild card teams per side, is that too many?
If you ask me, yes. I've never liked the wild card. This goes back from the 90s. I just think it's terrible. The olden days, I mean, when the Marlins won it, I guess, was it 96? They were the wild card team, I think. But
they won it once in 01?
Yeah.
Or 02 when I was young. I don't know if they were the wild card that year or not. But.
I want to say they were the first to do it. I want to say it was 96 or not. I guess Cleveland, maybe. Anyhow, those Cleveland teams are really good and underrated, but that's neither the point here or there. But is 3 too much? Yeah. If Major League Baseball, and I think it will eventually expand to include 2 more teams, I think you cut them out because then you have 4 divisions, I guess, on each side. And then you make it, I think, 2 or whatever. I just don't like – if you're going to play 162 games, they should mean something. Finishing second or third, it just doesn't do a whole lot for me.
You've been given ample chances.
You've been given ample chances. If you go back to the wildest times in baseball, and I want to say it was 1992 or 93, I think. The Atlanta Braves, then in the National League West, because geography was not a strong point of Major League Baseball at that point, and the San Francisco Giants each won over 100 games, and only the Braves made the playoffs. So, win more games if you're going to complain about it. You're going to, it's the same argument because there were injuries, this or that, whatever. Well, if you're going to play 162 games, they dang well ought to mean a lot. So, I think 3 is too many.
First off, Marlins won in 1997.
97 is when they beat Cleveland.
Against Cleveland, 4-3. Edgar Renteria hit walk-off in the 11th. I believe, yes, I love this. If I'm love it or leave it, I love it. 3 is too many. I thought it was fine when it was 1, and it makes sense. You got 3 divisions, and then if you want to take the next best one up, because sometimes you do get a division where 3 of the 5 best teams statistically are in the same division.
And if you're going to have a playoff in 3 divisions, you kind of have to have a 4th team.
You have, and that's what I'm saying. It makes sense to put 4, and logistically, numbers-wise, it makes perfect sense. Clean bracket, right? Right down the side. Just go back to 1. Take the 3 division. You're right. You've been given 162 chances to win enough games to win your division, and you have plenty of time. We've seen that right now. If you're following baseball, the Red Sox were left for doom about 2 months ago, and they've won 30 of 35, and now they're only a game behind the Yankees for second in their division, in a division that's one of the best in baseball. So yeah, you've been given chances. Put 1 wild card team in there, have them play the lowest statistical winning division winner, have them play the highest success, the team with the highest record, have them play them, put the other 2 against each other, and just make it normal. And then
96 was the Yankees. Sorry,
yes, 96 was the Yankees. This was not what our last one was going to be. I had a hard time thinking of the 5th one, so it was something about like tailgate food or something. And then this opportunity presented.
I had a hot take there, so will you do that one another time?
We'll save that one for. We'll save that for a few weeks from now. But this presented itself. I've been telling you for 2 months. I'm waiting for something to fall out of the sky that we just have to talk about. I didn't quite think it would be something as absurd as this.
Now, I want to ask the question: have you become an Akron season ticket holder yet?
I have not. I have not. Now, and I was going to mention that as earlier today, I had an alert pop up. Highest number of season tickets sold ever, and they have experienced monumental, not even season ticket, but just tickets to games since they announced this, 2 days ago?
Yeah.
If you haven't seen this, OC stands for Offensive Coordinator. Akron has a contest going where they are going to let a fan be the offensive coordinator for the first drive of their first home game this year. You get to draw up the playbook for the first drive of the game.
Yeah.
In a legitimate FBS contested football game.
Now, they do have an FCS opponent that first week.
Okay, but still, an FBS team is doing this.
Yeah, it's still a college football game with people playing with scholarships and other funds.
What do you think about this?
I think that is crazy awesome. and it's just wild. And if you are Akron football historically has been terrible. They have been pretty much the worst team in the country, at least in that conversation, almost every year. And so anything you can do to bring more people in, bring more funds in, get more attention for your program is great. And hey, if you've got to score every time down the field to beat an FCS team at home to open the season, you're going to lose a crap ton of games anyway. So what does one series matter? Let's the fans have some fun, be entertained, and enjoy this contest, and hopefully it'll be a fun ESPN Plus TV broadcast, I'm sure, to watch that first quarter.
This is the silliest thing I've ever heard in my life. If I agree with you in the fact of, look, especially when you're a team that's as lower level end of the mid majors as Akron.
Akron, I think, can be up with Louisiana Monroe as the worst FBS program in the last 20 years.
Yes, and if you're that low on the totem pole, and it's a publicity stunt, but and clearly it's working. I mean, Lord, they got people on shows like ours talking about it, but my gosh, letting a fan design the playbook for your first drive of the game, and what if they do this? And the first play they go to, because now they talk, now your offensive coordinator has to get this game plan, whatever it ends up being. They have to execute it, try to, as best they can, if it makes any sense. What if they pick a 6-year-old kid? Or what if they go to run the first play of this fan-created drive and the quarterback throws a pick? And now all of a sudden, we built this thing up, and it lasted one play, and we turned it over. That would be typical Akron.
Yeah.
But I've never in my life, I read over this 3 times thinking I was reading it wrong, hoping I was reading it wrong. And the poor offensive coordinator of this team, whoever he may be.
Is Joe Moorhead still the coach at Akron?
I have no idea.
He was.
And I would love to know the person. Because obviously multiple people would have had to have approved this, and that's its own thing. I want to know the person whose brain thought of this idea. I just want to know who. I don't even care to ask them why they thought of it. I just want to know whose idea it was, just because I've never heard of anything like this. I don't think you'll ever hear anything like this again.
No, not in a real game. Now, it's been about 10 years ago where ASU auctioned off the opportunity to be the head coach of one of the teams at a spring game.
That's different.
And some guy from California, like Nick, and I'm going to butcher his last name, like Barjwa, whatever. Anyhow, he paid like $12,000, but he won the auction to be able to be the spring game coach. Yeah. And the funniest thing about it was they got Larry Lacefield in on the deal, Hall of Fame coach and all that. He came out, showed up at the press conference this guy was having, and they announced him as the coach for the other team.
That's cool.
That was a spring game.
That's fun to me. Yeah. That's a spring game. Everyone's there to just put eyes on the talent for this year, have some fun.
Yeah.
Whatever. That's fun to me. This is when the season's over and we're looking at a 12-game record. This game against this FCS, who is it? Do you remember? I don't even remember. This game against this FCS school is going to count. There will be a drive in this game where plays were called and drew up by a fan. Like, if you want to be a fan and draw up plays, and
I'm going to assume that it's got to be in the playbook.
I haven't read the rules or anything on it, but if you want to be a fan and draw up the plays and run the plays for Akron, then buy NCAA, buy the football 27 video game and play the video game. Like, my gosh, I don't know.
This is going to be the first home game, which is against Robert Morris.
Okay.
So if you have trouble beating one guy, Bob, then maybe you shouldn't be playing football.
Now, I will say this, though. If you're going to be the fan to do this, whoever you are out there, because you're probably listening to us right now, please, don't run, play number 1, be a counter to the right, play 2, be a slant. If the whole point of this is to have fun, there better be hook and laterals, there better be halfback passes, there better be
run that hide the midget play.
Hide the mid, Statue of Liberty, do something. Like, make this. make this entertaining at least.
This is your one opportunity
because you're right. People are going to flip ESPN Plus on, find the beginning of this game, and then go right back to, Miami or Georgia or whoever they want to watch.
This is a 3:30, I guess I'm going to assume Eastern time kick. So 2:30 on September the 12th against Robert Morris. They played the week before that on a Thursday at Wake Forest. So on the 12th, wherever you're at, flip on the ESPN Plus, and
we will remind you here the Thursday before, we promise.
It's going to be a lot of fun.
Oh, heavens. All right. This week in Animal Takes, again, we had a little problem last week with our video. We'll try to get that one to you another time. But we went back to what's been working for us, and that's John bringing in all the videos. So we got a cow this week, looks like.
A cow.
We have a cow. And
it was interesting. That was this. Who gives a cow a shower? But this cow has a shower.
Let's watch it. Someone around here would do that. And I'm sitting there in my head thinking, in the place, kind of part of the country we live in, someone would do that. And then I thought, my wife would do that. 100% my wife would do that. If
you go bring her horse out.
Oh, God bless the people who have showers big enough to hold a cow.
I could not believe that the cow stayed still the whole time. I was completely shocked that it not tried to go away.
The image of it chewing on cud still while standing in the middle of a shower. And then we got to the teeth brushing, and I was like, okay, what are we doing here? What are we doing here?
And that's not the Queen of England's cow. That's just some random people on the internet.
Oh my gosh. Well, props to them for whatever they want to do. All right, so we're going to send everybody on their way for this week. Kind of tell you what we got coming up. We got one more week next Thursday of episodes. Before we kind of get into really getting things going, as John alluded to, a lot of the schools starting back next week, which means some of the fall sports getting underway around here in the Lake area. Some golf, some tennis, probably have some cross country for too long. And we're obviously going to be following all of our Lake area teams and hopefully try to talk to some of the athletes and coaches as we get the seasons going. And then football will begin at the end of the month. 2 weeks from today, however, as you can't tell if you haven't noticed, John and I do enjoy college football, so we're going to have an official college football preview show, and we'll talk, about our I should have swapped the logos, put on the other side based on where we're sitting, but obviously we'll talk a lot of the bigger teams in the state. We'll talk Razorbacks, Red Wolves. We'll talk a little UCA, some Harding. Harding, probably the most successful football program in the state the past few years, and then just talk college football in general. For the August 20th episode. And then the week that our high school teams here in the Lake area go back and hit the field, 3 weeks from today on the 27th, we'll have our official high school football preview show for our Lake area schools, Quitman, Southside, and Rosebud. We plan to have interviews from all the coaches of these teams to kind of preview their seasons on August 27th. So we're looking forward to both of those shows. Those will be a lot of fun, and we'll be officially knee-deep into high school football season by that point, by the end of the month. If you don't follow us already, then be sure you do on Facebook, Spotify, and YouTube. You can find our show on any of those 3 platforms. Just search Lake Area Sports and Lake Area Takes. To all of you who already follow and who continue to watch, thank you so much for your support. Leave your comments. Again, thanks to Rory Bradley for being our guest today. And don't forget the code word for the $25 gift certificate to Little Red this week is technical, TECHNICAL. So leave that in the comments. Have a chance to win $25 gift card to Little Red, and we've made it through 7 episodes. Another good show. And again, we appreciate everybody who tunes in and watches us week in and week out.
Thanks for joining. We'll see you again next week.
We'll let our sponsor see us out the door. Y'all have a great rest of your week.
Looking for farm fresh beef for your family? Blacktop Cowboy Cattle Company has you covered. Choose from a whole, half, or a quarter beef, or purchase individual packaged cuts. Our cattle are locally raised, and your beef is processed at a trusted local facility for quality you can taste. Best of all, your order is picked up and hand-delivered locally right to your door by Eddie Whitehurst. Call Blacktop Cowboy Cattle Company today and put farm-raised beef on your family's table.
Hungry? We've got you covered. Welcome to Bentley's Restaurant, Greer's Ferry's largest restaurant. Join us for breakfast and lunch every Tuesday and Wednesday, then come back Thursday through Saturday for breakfast, lunch, and dinner. From homemade omelets and our Saturday breakfast buffet to fresh salads, daily lunch specials, and hand-cut ribeyes cut as big as you want them, there's something for everyone. Friday and Saturday nights are legendary with our seafood buffet featuring jumbo peel and eat shrimp, catfish, crawfish, and all your favorites. Plus, don't miss our delicious prime rib on Saturday nights and our crab leg dinner every Friday and Saturday. Whether you're joining us for breakfast, lunch, or dinner, you'll always find great food, generous portions, and friendly service. Bentley's Restaurant in Greer's Ferry. Come hungry, bring your friends, and make every meal one to remember.
Are you a sports card collector? Then make your next stop Stan's Sports Cards in Greenbrier. Whether you're chasing vintage legends or today's hottest rookies, Stan's Sports Cards has something for every sports fan. Browse an incredible selection of sports cards, jerseys, memorabilia, and collectibles from your favorite teams and players. Looking to sell? Stan's Sports Cards is actively buying vintage and modern sports cards. Turn those cards sitting in a box into cash today. Visit Stan's Sports Cards at 26 South Broadview, Highway 65, in Greenbrier, open Tuesdays through Fridays from 10 a.m. to 6 p.m. and Saturdays from 9 a.m. to 3 p.m.
Discover Little Red at Indian Hills, where good food, great views, and Arkansas hospitality come together in Fairfield Bay. Enjoy lunch or dinner with comfortable indoor seating, a relaxing outdoor patio, and barbecue available Thursday through Saturday. From golfers fresh off the course to locals and visitors alike, Little Red is the place to gather, eat well, and unwind. Little Red at Indian Hills. Good food, great views, and a Fairfield Bay favorite.
Ready for your next beach getaway? Discover the perfect vacation with Willock Condo Rentals. Enjoy beautiful beachfront condos in Navarre Beach and Panama City Beach, Florida. When you book directly with the owner, you'll pay no service fees, saving more money for fun in the sun. For over 15 years, Willock Condo Rentals has helped families create unforgettable beach memories with comfortable accommodations and breathtaking Gulf views. Start planning your next vacation today. Contact Willock Condo Rentals and